Welcome back to Friends and Family Survival. Today we're going to be talking about fire starters. This video is going to have two sections. The first section we're going to cover is the actual fire starters, such as matches, lighters, and ferro rods.
The second part of this video is going to have things that assist to start fires, such as fatwood, cotton balls and Vaseline, and some resin that we have from a pine tree. So sit tight and let's go over those real fast. So before we start, we are going to go over a rule that we follow pretty strictly when it comes to survival, emergency preparedness, or camping, or hunting, or anything really, and that is the rule of 3.
Or in other words, 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
That meaning things that you need, such as fire, food, shelter, you want to have 3 different options just in case one of those options fail.
So this first section we wanted to cover were the actual fire starters. The first being these stormproof and windproof matches by Yuko. The pros are these will work in all weather and wind. The cons being these only burn for about 15 seconds before they go out. So you have that short time frame, but a nearly guaranteed flame. So the second fire starter we wanted to talk about today were lighters. This first lighter everyone's seen, you can pick these up at gas stations and pack of 5 for like $2. The second one we found at Walmart. It's an all-metal butane torch for about $7. The pros to these is that these are guaranteed fires. These are going to be able to start your fire very quickly, very easily. The cons to these is that they will run out when used for prolonged periods of time. The butane one is refillable, but you probably don't want to be carrying around a butane bottle with you. The third fire starter we wanted to talk about today is a ferrocium rod, aka a ferro rod. This one in particular is a mesh metal version, which means it's harder and it's going to last longer. We found this one on Amazon for about $16, and it came with this paracord. The way these work is you take a hard, sharp surface, like the back of a knife, and you strike it across the rod, which generates sparks. The pros to this is that these sparks are burning at 3,000 degrees. It's easy to pack, and you don't have to worry about it running out of fuel or breaking. The cons to this is that it takes a little bit more preparation for your fire on your tinder, and it takes a certain skill set to use this rod. So you can see with each of these different fire starters, they each have their pros and cons. The matches are burning really hot, and they're not going to be blown out, but they're also burning quite quickly. With the lighters, you have a really continuous flame, but in the rare case that it either gets cracked or smashed or the fuel runs out, you're kind of hosed. The ferro rod, you can see it takes a little bit more skill to use. It's a little bit different, but those sparks are burning at 3,000 degrees, and it was really easy to hold in my hand because of how large it is.
Alright, so what Spencer just went over were the things that help you ignite the fire. So now let's kind of go over the things that help make your life easier as far as getting the fire started, also known as the fun stuff. Let's begin. Okie dokie, and keeping with that rule of 3, we picked 3 of our favorite things that we like to keep in our bags. The first being this pine resin. Now the pros to this pine resin is it burns for a very long time at a pretty good heat. It's very easy to find. We just got this off of a tree. When you go hiking or wherever, if you see a pine tree, you're almost guaranteed to find this on the tree. It's kind of just nature's boogers. It's just everywhere. But it's extremely flammable. It's very easy to ignite, and it burns for quite a long time. The second, which is my personal favorite, is known as fatwood. Fatwood, if you can see, this is also from a pine tree. What it is where the tree meets a branch. Once that branch kind of dies, it jams packs the stick full of this resin. So the stick itself becomes extremely flammable and very easy to use. You only need a little bit of shavings off of this, and it'll burn for a very long time at a very extreme heat. This will last me quite a while. Okay, our third favorite thing that we like the most is a cotton ball soaked in Vaseline. So all we did was we took the cotton ball, dipped it in the Vaseline, mashed it around for a little bit, and you have this. It's very cheap. The Vaseline, this little thing was about $1, and it'll last you quite a while. The cotton balls, you can get about 300 for about $3, I believe. But you want to make sure you mash the Vaseline into all the fibers of the cotton ball, and it'll burn for a very long time at an extreme heat, which you'll see in just a moment. Okay, so as far as the preparation for these items, the other reason we like them is they're very easy. It takes very minimal work to get a very awesome result. For instance, this resin, this is good to go. There's a couple ways you can process this though if you need to. If you can't ignite this straight away. Another way you can do it is you can boil it and you can melt it onto certain things. One thing we've done in the past is we'll boil this and pour it onto a pine cone, and that pine cone becomes a very, very hot candle pretty much. It'll burn very slowly but very hot. But for this demonstration, we're just going to leave the resin as is because it works just perfectly. This one with the cotton ball and the Vaseline, you just take a cotton ball, dip it in the Vaseline, get a pretty, I don't know if you can see that, there's a pretty healthy amount of Vaseline on there, and you just take it and we're just going to mash it into those fibers. If it feels dry, add more Vaseline, because the more you have, the better. And it'll look all mushy-gushy, and you can keep this in like a little airborne bottle or however you want to keep it. It'll kind of poof back out, but that right now is covered in Vaseline, which is perfect what we want. Okay, now for the third and final, the Fatwood, my personal favorite. As far as processing it, really you could just throw this into a fire or get it started, and this will burn very hot, very fast. But that's kind of wasteful. You don't really need to do that. You can do little shards of it, make little matches. But as far as for what we're using it for, to prepare it, all you do is you'll set it down, get like a sharp edge. We're going to use this knife that has a pretty sharp edge on the back. And all we're going to do is make little scrapings. So let me go ahead and do that real fast. Now I know this doesn't seem like that much, but I think you'll be impressed with the result. So let's go ahead, we'll get these ready, we'll take them out, and we'll burn them, and I'll put it side by side so you can see all three of them together, and just see how long each of them burn and how they burn. Okay, so real quick while I talk, I'm going to put all the fires around me, the little fire starters, just so you can kind of see how they each individually burn. They all burn a little differently for different situations. The resin, I'm probably going to speed up a little bit just because that burned for about 5 minutes. The cotton ball burned for about 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, and the Fatwood burned for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, but it burned a little bit hotter than the other two did. The one thing is you'll see is with the Fatwood is I did poke it with the stick in the middle because it tends to burn the outside and leaves the inside a little non-burn, so when you poke it, it just reignites it. The resin, that burned extremely well. That was a big clump of resin that I used, but it's cooler that way. And the cotton ball, it always looks cool. But it does burn very hot once you get it started. It does take a little bit longer to get started, but once it's started, it's very hard to put out. So keep that in mind. So go ahead, enjoy the fires, and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed and took something away from it. You always got to remember to keep that rule of 3. It's very important. And as Spencer said,
2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Exactly. You always want to make sure you're prepared for any situation, and that's what we're trying to help do. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Make sure to go to our Facebook page at Friends and Family Survival. Because we put out videos every week, and we put articles out throughout the week. Have a great night, and happy holidays.